Joyful Namaskara. Welcome to this session on the fundamental human problem. We all face life with a lot of challenges. And when we go to a doctor with a pain, for example, the doctor no doubt gives us a painkiller, which is an immediate solution. But the doctor also diagnoses the root cause, the infection which is causing this pain, and treats that. In the same way, for all the experiences we have in life, particularly the painful experiences, the emotional disturbances, we need to understand the root cause, the basic human problem. This session deals with that key aspect, the fundamental human problem. If we observe, we would have found that joy is somewhere eluding us at different points in time. Peace is eluding us at different points in time. We also can notice that we end up feeling insecure, even in spite of acquiring many things. Right? The classical question haunts us. Is everything predetermined, or is there really something called free will? Right? All these fundamental questions need to be understood through our creation. Let us consider the two species, the humans and animals. There are a lot of common things, common aspects. Like you have food, sleep, fear, and procreation. Right? There is a beautiful verse in Sanskrit that deals with this. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunani samanyam etat pashubir narani. Right? And of course, the verse also says there is a difference between the two, even though there are common factors. We'll come to the difference in a moment. In addition to these four, there is one other thing which is common between the two species, which is the ability to learn. We have found one of the earlier stories that we would have seen in school. It's about a crow, how intelligent it is. Monkeys learn. We would have seen dolphin shows. Dolphin is considered a very intelligent species that learns really fast, right? So the ability to learn can also be considered as something common, right? The differentiating factor, of course, is dharma. But let's understand dharma from a slightly different perspective today, which is an ability to discriminate and an ability to make a choice using the intellect, right? An ability that doesn't seem to exist with animals, right? There are a lot of things like emotions are common between humans and animals, but the ability to discriminate, the ability to make a choice consciously doesn't seem to be there in animals. Let's call this faculty as the rational faculty in humans, right? If we look at the fundamental difference between an animal and humans, it seems to be this factor. While the animals are driven by more programmed choices, including the emotions it goes through, including the driving factors for its behaviors, all of them seem to be driven by some kind of a program. Whereas the real choices exist in terms of how we can lead our life, that choices seem to be given only to human beings. Let us explore this rational faculty a little more in detail. This rational faculty, the ability to discriminate, the ability to make choices, is because we are created as a self-conscious being. What is the meaning of the self-conscious being? That means we are aware of many things about us. Right? We are aware of what kind of a gender we belong to. We are aware of what kind of a status that we have. We are aware of what kind of a context in which we lead our life. We are aware of many things. This awareness is also given to us. Right? For example, 2 hands and 2 legs are given to me. Eyes are given to me for me to see. The ears are given to me for me to hear. The 5 senses are there. Just like how everything is given to me, this is also given to me, which is self-conscious nature. The self-consciousness doesn't seem to exist in animals. Now, is this a gift or is this actually a problem? Let's go a little deeper into this. What does this self-consciousness or self-awareness gives us? It gives us the nature, the aspect of comparison with others, right? And others comparing us too. Like I am, say, 6 foot tall is a fact. But someone who is 7 foot tall starts to compare and feel that he or she is taller than me. Right? Or someone who is 5 foot tall starts to feel that he's shorter than me. Right? So the comparisons come because we are aware. We are aware of our many aspects of our life, right? And we are also aware of the same aspects in others. This self-comparison comes directly from the self-awareness which has been given to us as a unique factor in our species, right? What does this self-comparisons do to us? Is it that only others compare us with others? Or we end up comparing ourselves with others too, right? This self-comparisons lead to a deeper issue of self-judgment. The judgment of good and bad. The judgment of right and wrong. Right? Example, I notice that I have a particular color of skin and someone else has a different color of skin, and I might end up judging either my color is superior or somebody's color is superior. I notice that there is a difference in height between me and another person, and I may pass a judgment that I am tall, I am short, I am useless, I am useful, I am superior, I am inferior. This self-judgment and judgment on others, right? That person is not intelligent, that person is not wealthy, that person is poor. All these judgments come from comparisons. These comparisons come from the self-conscious nature of us. And that is given to us. We can't do anything about it, right? Like we are given the power to see, the power to think. The power is given to us, right? Now, what does this self-judgment lead to? The self-judgment leads to problems like self-esteem gaps, self-confidence gaps, superiority, inferiority kind of complexes. And this self-judgment also triggers emotions. Like when I find that somebody has got a car which is better than mine, right? It may trigger an emotion of anger on myself as to why I have not been able to get it. Or it may trigger an emotion of jealousy, envy on the other person, right? Or we might end up making an effort and somebody has got the result. I did not get the result. I may start sulking and start feeling guilty that I did not do something, right? So all these emotions which get triggered, these complexes that get triggered, are all coming from the self-judgment that we make, right? Now, these problems don't seem to exist in animals. Like your white cow may not feel superior or inferior to your black cow. Your dog doesn't feel superior or inferior to, say, a donkey, right? Now, is this problem existing only at ordinary human beings level? No, even in saints. We would have read in our scriptures, in the stories, that sage, very famous sage by name Vishwamitra, started to feel inferior to another sage, right? Vasishta. Brahma Rishi, who is a Brahma Rishi? I am not a Brahma Rishi. Why am I not a Brahma Rishi? Right? So these comparisons might exist at various levels, but seem to be associated more with human kind of species, right? Whereas it doesn't seem to exist even in trees or animals. A tall tree and a short tree may just stay side by side comfortably. No, no ego issues, no comparison issues. An apple tree doesn't compare itself with some other tree. Of course, trees and animals have emotions, which is common with humans. I'm sure you would have heard stories of an animal, a pet dog, even weeping when the master passes away, or when the master is not, the pet dog is feeling very sad and is not very active. There is a beautiful book called The Secret Lives of Plants, where they talk about how plants have a lot of emotions. And a plant actually gives an evidence of a rape and a murder in one of the cases. It is stated in that book, right? One of the very famous musicians in India, Dr. Balamurali Krishna, has done a lot of research on how plants and animals respond to emotions, right? So that is a common factor between the animal and the human species, but the rational faculty seem to be the differentiating factor, right? Of course, do we have a choice? Yes, we have a choice. Where we have a choice and where we don't have a choice, right? This faculty is given to us. We don't have a choice, right? Like the ability to see is given to us. We may tie our eyes and or close our eyes and say, I will not see. Yes, that choice is there, right? But the moment you open your eyes, unless your eyes are not functioning well, we will end up seeing what is in front of us, right? The choice is not there with respect to we being self-conscious. There is no choice because it is given to us. But we do have a choice. In being aware that this is the fundamental problem, and so we will not get into these comparisons and we will not get into judgments. We would have seen a classic case of parenting, right? Parents comparing between one child and another child. Parents comparing between one child's skills and another child's skills or marks and grades, right? It's not that only others compare, where we end up comparing ourselves with others. We can become aware and stop the comparison. We can become aware and stop the judgments. We have a choice. But is it that easy? No, it seems to be extremely difficult. It calls for a lot of mental practice, sadhana, to be able to stop these two connections from happening. Right? Now, in addition to self-esteem, complexes, right, and emotions, it also provokes something called desires. Right? Like when I see somebody owning a bigger car, I may not feel jealous, but I may have a desire or an ambition to get a car like that, right? When I feel insecure, I may get a desire to feel secure, right? So these are called pursuits. Pursuits are nothing but goals, right? And this seeking of goals also come because of the same fundamental problem. And animals don't have this challenge, right? Animals don't have goals. January 1st, I have to set a goal that I have to reduce weight by 5 kilos, right? Or I have to set a goal that I have to beat this horse in the next race, right? There's no such goal setting which happens in animals. The reason animals don't have such pursuits, other than pursuits that are programmed, right, is because they are not self-conscious beings. Now, these pursuits are many million pursuits in human beings. I want to possess a house. I want to possess a farmland. I want to see and feel this place. I want to go on a world tour. I want to be better than my brother. I want to be better than somebody, my office colleague. I want to climb Mount Everest. Nobody has done it in my family. I want to have more dignity than somebody else. Of course, while acquiring something is also a pursuit, wanting to let go of it is also a pursuit. In fact, my Guruji used to say, as much as somebody is wanting to buy a house, somebody is attempting to sell the house. As much as somebody is wanting to get married, somebody is attempting to get divorced, right? Wanting to let go is also a pursuit. Of course, the mother of all pursuits is, I don't want this birth and death itself. Because as long as I'm a human being, I have this problem. And when I pursue something, I do some actions, and those actions get me results, karma, and I have to experience it. I don't want to get into this cycle at all. I want to get liberated from this cycle, and that becomes a pursuit by itself. And that is moksha pursuit. There are millions of these pursuits which are there, right? Let's understand them a little more. But we have to ask a question. Can we really enumerate all these pursuits? Impossible. It's a very, very, very long list. One person's list is very different from another person's list. Right? Can we really count them? No, we can't. It's infinity, right? What our scriptures have done is categorize these pursuits, which are infinite in nature, into a very simple model of 4 buckets, right? Let us see those 4 buckets in detail. The 4 buckets are called as purusharthas, which are pursuits. The first bucket is called artha bucket. Artha means security, feeling secure, right? Example, I am not owning a house. I want to feel secure by owning a house. I have a job, but that job doesn't seem to be a permanent job. I want to make it permanent. Right? I have a house, but I'm feeling very insecure that somebody may come and steal some things from my house, and I have a lock I need. All these are artha pursuits. But once we gratify these artha pursuits, we go to the next set of pursuits, which are called kama pursuits. Kama pursuits are comfort, luxury. Right? I have a car, but I want an air-conditioned car. I want a luxury car. I have a house. I want air conditioner in the house. I have a house, but I want a farmland. Right? All these pursuits are not artha pursuits, but they are more into the comfort and luxury kind of pursuits. But if you notice carefully, they kind of feed into each other. Right? Like just like how when artha pursuits are met, we move to kama pursuits. But the moment we get a kama pursuit, we start feeling insecure. Again, example, I have a wonderful car, but I feel very insecure that somebody may steal it. And so I take an insurance for the car. I have a lot of air conditioners in my house, but I want that air conditioners to work at all times. So I take an uninterrupted power system, a generator. But the moment I take a generator, I'm feeling insecure that it could break. And so I take an insurance for it. If you notice, some of these pursuits are feeding back into artha, and then artha is feeding back into kama. And many of us keep cycling between artha and kama, artha and kama, artha and kama kind of situation. Right? Of course, it's perfectly okay to go through these pursuits, but there is a framework of dharma, the framework of ethics, the framework of legalities about how do you pursue something and how do you get it. There's nothing right, wrong judgment about any pursuit, but must be guided by dharma. And dharma is a framework, right? I'm sure you would have heard of this 4 purusharthas being dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But I have kind of detailing them in a slightly different order, which is more logical according to me to understand. Of course, we want to get out of all this. We have moksha. That itself is a pursuit. That means I don't want to get into this. I seek something and I have to make certain actions for it. And when I make certain actions for it, earn some karma. And to experience the karma, I had to be born again. I don't want this infinite loop. Right? Now, how do I get moksha? That itself becomes a pursuit. Now, if you look at all these purusharthas, the pursuits, many times we are driven by just observing others. And in a very competitive sense, we seem to be mechanically seeking and acquiring these pursuits. As I said earlier, we can't break the link by being fully conscious and aware that this is how the mind is going to work, and I have to use my free will and then seek the pursuits correctly. Just because someone has a better car, I don't need to have a better car. But if I'm convinced intellectually that I need a better car, then I go and acquire it. That means I have the freedom of choice, which is the positive side of this self-consciousness. The freedom of choice doesn't exist for animals. Now, using this freedom of choice, we pursue the correct things so that we don't go through the pain of either having something or not having something. The emotional disturbances become relatively lesser. In this entire journey, which has been so pleasant and peaceful to me, is because of my gurus, Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji and Puja Swami Paramarthananda Ji, who made the whole concept so simple and so practical and logical for me to understand, which I am attempting to pass it on. Let me close with my deep gratitude to these two gurus. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.